Yo, what up, everyone? Today, I'm going to talk a bit about this little routing technique when it comes to recording your drums. That way, whether you choose to do them MIDI or if you would rather have them audio, either way, you can then move forward with your project, and it's not like you have to choose either way, right? So it's a pretty cool trick. I don't know, I'm probably not the first to do it, but I just kind of happened upon it while I was messing around with some stuff in Ableton. So here we go. So yeah, in Ableton here, so I just loaded a blank template here. So what I have here is an audio track, but what I need is a MIDI track. Control Shift T, MIDI track. Here we go. Okay, so MIDI track, right? So normally we have a MIDI track for our drums, so I'm just gonna grab a drum rack real quick, right? Here we go. So I'll just drop this drum rack in here like so. Cool. So we have our drum rack in here, and this is normally how we set up our drums for our drum pads or whatever we're using to play our samples on. Alright, so I'm just going to grab some quick samples here. Don't judge. I'm not really being very selective in the sound finding process here. Alright. Alright, so we got two hats, right? And we have a kick and a snare, okay? So normally, what we would do is when we're making a beat, we would record that onto a MIDI track, right? Which would render here. Let me go ahead and let me just, yeah, you know what? Okay, cool. So, just a little loop. Get rid of that. Alright, so normally we have this loop here. Now, a lot of producers don't really like to use MIDI, right? They like to use audio, and I agree that there's definitely a lot more value in using audio than using the actual MIDI files. So normally, you want to render this down to audio, but then you have a loop, right? And it's harder to mess with a loop than individual sounds. So what you can do here is you can either take this or you can take it from a live take or whatever. But what you're going to do is you're going to get some audio tracks going, right? So I have one here already, so I'm just going to duplicate this a couple times. Alright, so I duplicated it, and now what I'm going to do here is switch my inputs over. I'm going to jump over to this view here. Um, and you see you got drum rack input, right? So I'm selecting drum rack inputs. Now, secondary, right here. So see, in here we have hat, kick, snare, hat, right? So it's in order of how I put the sounds in the drum rack going across from left to right, going from the bottom to the top, right? So it's hat, kick, snare, hat, kick, snare, hat, right? So now what I can do here, if I want to, is say I want this first channel to be the kick. So I'm going to put that one there. And then snare, I want the second channel, right? And third channel, I'm going to put that first hat because that was the one I believe that was the one I was using in the little loop there. Alright, so now I have these three on these channels, right? I have this up here. Now hold up. As we can see here, unquantized like a mug, right? So I could sit here and shift stuff over and align it, or you know, I can just real quick for sake of time here, I'm just going to quantize it and then move some things accordingly. Looks like this whole thing dragged backwards a little bit here. Apologies. You know what? We'll just go ahead and fill in these extra ones here. I don't know what happened. You know what? We'll do and we'll just, you know what? Fine. That works. I don't think we have any double notes in there, do we? Okay, now we're good. Alright, so we got a little bit of a kick snare kind of thing going on here. And these seem to have jumped backwards somehow. I'll slow this right down. There we go. I don't know what happened with that quantize. Sorry, everyone. Jumped everything. I probably should have changed the notes in here first before actually quantizing it. Anyway, so really simple little beat going on here, right? Right. So pretty basic. Anyway, so we have this in MIDI now, and normally most people would just record it, but now that I've set these all up on separate channels, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to arm everything, right? And now I can turn these off if I want to record what I have here already, right? Turn that off too. I can record what I have already, or I can record a fresh loop by turning this off and turning these on. Therefore, it turns off the audio from this channel, but it still allows you to hear the audio through from your drum rack in these channels. You have to flip it over and see how they're all recording separately on separate channels. So now if I record this, I can just go ahead and hit disarm this channel here, and then I'm going to record this now. Right, and there we go. Now you have your audio track broken out all in separate instruments, so you can, you know, chop it up at your pleasure, you know. Take a kick out of this, probably take two from the snare, you know, and come in here and grab a hat. Now if I had two hats playing, they would be going back and forth, and then I could take one of each of those, and now I've essentially pulled these back down to the samples that they originally came from, you know. So if we listen, let me Apologies. First time. And there you have it. So that's how you can render your drum tracks back down into audio in individual stems. Thanks for watching.